Amendment damn near destroys or it gets in the way of any tyrannical rule. So, bro, they can take away our guns and tell us what we can and can't say. Yes, we are under a tyrannical rule.
Now, I want you to think
Biden
about this. In the last 3 weeks, I've interviewed 2 different people. One of the ones I had on the podcast 3 weeks ago, he flew in the entire time he was nervous. He was a former founder of the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. He started the IRGC with Khomeini in 1979. 3 months after I was born, I was living in Iran, and I brought him on the podcast. For many years, we've been wanting to have this man to come on the podcast, but obviously he doesn't want to come because directly and indirectly, millions of people died because of this man.
Damn.
If you go on Google, you type in founder of IRGC, you'll see his name and Khomeini's name. I bring him on. It's a little bit uncomfortable. I say, so let me ask you a question. When you guys took over the revolution, the Shah is gone. That's the last time the Middle East was at peace. No issues. Iran gets along with Israel. No wars. Things are good. Then you come over. You take over Iran. Khomeini flies in. You fly in. What is the first thing you guys did? He says, our #1 mission was to get all the guns out of people's hands.
Damn. That's why everything was oh so good. Everybody was at peace and all that good stuff until things got a little tyrannical and they start swiping guns. I wonder what came after. I mean, you see why the Second Amendment needs to stand as it is? There's a reason, because as soon as we lose the first and the second, I mean, we're no longer America.
And I said, tell me why. He says, because we wanted to be safe. I said, safe from what? Well, we had to be careful because there was a lot of criminals who had a lot of guns. I said, citizens having guns are criminals. They're trying to protect themselves. So again, what do tyrants fear? First thing is what? Your guns, because you can protect yourself. 2 days ago, I got back from Brazil. We're flying out to Brazil to do a 3-hour interview with...
That's what I do. And now look, you may not agree with this, but I do that. I believe that almost every man in America at least have a handgun, an assault rifle, a tactical, something like a crossbow or something, just in case you need to go out there and hunt. It's like, yo, we need these weapons. If the army can have it, an American citizen, well, not the army, but and if a soldier can acquire it or have it in their hand, an American should be able to have it. Because you never know, and I mean, God forbid that the government somehow gets the military to go against us. I mean, then what? Oh, there was an assault rifle ban, but the military got assault rifles. Or let's say on a less severe scenario that a country just happens to invade us and we ain't got no guns. We're just over here like waiting on the Navy, waiting on the military to pull up while we're just getting decimated. Like, how does that look? It doesn't look too good, I'll tell you that.
Former President Jair Bolsonaro. How many of you guys love President Bolsonaro? So we're in Brazil. While we're about to go, they are briefing us on what to be prepared for before we go to Brazil. They say, #1, have an international lawyer ready in case something happens. #2, make sure you have an armored truck. #3, come with a good delegation. We went with 9 of us, and then we'll be escorting you all over the place. So we go and we experience everything, and then eventually the president comes. And the president sits there, and we start conducting the interview. One of the most emotional interviews I've ever done. This man is crying, tears dropping on the table. I can't wait for the interview to come out this Wednesday. And I hear him speaking. About 15 minutes left for the interview to be done. Somebody comes in and is whispering in his ear. Boom. He swipes the hand. Interview ends. Doing all the stuff that he's doing. He gets out. 1 hour later, alert on the phone. Jair Bolsonaro has been charged and is facing 38 years in prison. For what? There's a judge there in Brazil. His name is Alexandre de Moraes. Anybody knows who he is? Okay. If there is a picture for someone that looks like a tyrant, it is Alexandre de Moraes. This man is a tyrant at the highest level. And he is the second man, the second point that tyrants fear is freedom of speech. I'm talking to the former president. He's not comfortable talking about certain things, but he let everything loose. He knows you can't talk. They don't want you to talk over there. So you got guns, freedom of speech, and in the world, we have 195 countries, of which 193 have constitutions. Of the 193 that have constitutions, only one country gives you full-on freedom of speech with nothing about hate speech and Second Amendment. We're the only ones here that we have in America. Now, keep this in mind.
I feel like that's a problem. I honestly feel like that is a problem. Like, hold on. We're the only place in the world where you can pretty much say what you want and have no consequences. By law, it's not supposed to happen to you. Now, freedom of speech means freedom from prosecution. It don't mean you can't get your ass whooped now, but you are free to say whatever you want.
Sometimes when we sit there, we hear about, next year's going to be United States birthday for 250 years. It's going to be amazing. We are one of the youngest countries in the world. It's awesome. Well, think about the oldest countries in the world. Iran, roughly 3300 BC. Egypt, 3100 BC. You got Assyria.
Shit, and where are they at now? I mean, bro, really, Egypt is really a shame. I mean, we're talking about the pinnacle of, we're talking about the pinnacle of civilization at that time, and it all just goes away. It just gets destroyed, and I'm just like, damn, Rome, pinnacle of civilization of its time. Shit, where is it now? I mean, last time I checked, it's a very, very, very small place. I think it's a city now.
You got Armenia, you got China, you got all these countries, right? Oldest. We are one of the youngest. But watch this here. Does anybody know what country has the oldest constitution in the world? What country has the oldest constitution in the world, including UK? We, the people, have the oldest constitution in the world. So now watch this. Some of you are clapping. You're like, I don't know what point he's trying to make here. I don't know where you're going with this.
Hold on, you're telling me that we invented the idea of a constitution? Some written standards that the country must abide by no matter what? Only one. Oh, man, God bless America, huh?
Let me give you some numbers here. Dominican Republic has changed their constitution 32 times. Venezuela, 26 times. Haiti, 24. Ecuador, 20. Brazil's changed it 7 times in the last 100 years. While I'm there in Brazil, we're going to...
So I guess there's something really important about having a constitution and sticking to it. Don't change nothing in it. Just stick to that constitution. Let that always be how this country's ran. Because when you start switching things up, certain BS starts being allowed. Like tyrants, like dictators, like oligarchies. Like, come on now. I think we all see where this is going.
I forget when we landed in Miami.
Not in America, but for these other countries who honestly aren't honestly getting it together. It's like, yeah, y'all need some freedom of speech. Y'all need to let y'all people have guns. Y'all leaders, I know that makes y'all scared, but hey, it's either that or this whole country gonna go into anarchy one day. Maybe far, far down the line, 10 years later, but it's going to happen. Like, I promise you that.
30, we get there at 2 o'clock waiting. Our flight gets canceled. We have to redirect our flight. We go to Peru, and then from Peru, we fly out to Miami. And I'll never forget when we landed in Miami. It reminded me of back in July 15th of 89 when we're escaping Iran on a Lufthansa flight. And while we're going, everybody's waiting for the one magical word from the flight attendant. Anybody knows what it is? It's very simple. You can officially order alcohol. We've crossed the border.
And here's the crazy thing is, look, if Trump was a dictator, now really think about how you sound. If Trump was actually a dictator, would you even be allowed to speak on this man's name? Think about that. That's how you know we live under a constitution and in a constitutional republic. Shout out to that, because you are allowed to call Trump a dictator. You're allowed to have your criticisms and all that good stuff. I mean, as long as you don't go public with nothing salacious, you're good, right? Right. So it is kind of funny that y'all are still calling Trump a dictator while he's president, and somehow you have not ended up in handcuffs. I mean, if anything, everybody who's in here calling Trump a dictator, like PDF file and all that crazy stuff, y'all should be scared, right? If he's such a dictator. See where your logic don't make sense no more?
And we're like, we're free. This is amazing. We are.
Think about it. People in England getting locked up for Facebook posts. If Trump was a dictator like y'all said he was, a lot of y'all be gone, like in jail right now. You wouldn't be typing in the chat or anything.
Officially out of Iran, right? So we land in Miami. I'm like, oh my God, this kind of takes me back to that moment when we left, Iran and experiencing what freedom's like. Then we get down here and I'm sitting and talking to all these different senators and congressmen in Brazil, and here's a number I noticed. I want to kind of take it back because it's very important for us to be thinking about. In Brazil, they have 11 Supreme Court justices, of which only 2 are conservative. In Brazil, they have 81 senators, of which only 22 are conservatives. In Brazil, they have 513 congressmen and women, of which only 130 are conservatives. Let me just kind of take back a little bit and talk to you guys about maybe possibly the greatest accomplishment any president's ever done. If the Supreme Court
have a complete takeover of the government, and we're talking about like politically wise, we're talking about Republicans and Democrats. Yeah, this is the red wave that the Democrats were trying to gaslight and say, oh, there's no red wave coming. And then the election happens. And then what? I mean, now what y'all saying?
Justice was the other way around, 6-3. And when they said Colorado wants to remove the president off the ballot and they would have succeeded, Kamala Harris would have been your president today. I understand. I'm with you. But I want you to think about why this is so important. For 25 years of my life, I was an atheist. When you live in Iran, my mother's Armenian, her last name's Bogosian, my dad's Assyrian, Bet David. I'm living in Iran. We're a Christian family trying to make it work. We're going to school, you're going to church, kind of keep it quiet. And you dream about one day coming here. You're like, oh my God, I can't wait to one day come to America. It's going to be such a great deal to come to America. I'm sitting there kind of thinking to myself about all this stuff with Iran. And hey, the Congress, the Senate, all this stuff. You bring it to today. This man flips 3.
And we got 300 plus y'all in here, man. Do me a favor, man, and let's get the likes up on the video. So go ahead and double tap that screen or the 3 dots up there in the corner. And also subscribe to the channel. Appreciate the support, guys. And shout out to 88K subscribers.
Supreme Court justices. He doesn't do that. Kamala gets in. They would have done everything in their power they could have to prevent the president from speaking. They try to silence him. They took him all the social media sites. There's a lot of people that want to be friends with him today. Same people that silenced him. They said you can't use social media. Got off. Then you go from there, you dream about coming to America, and you sit there, you think about it, you say, oh my God, I cannot even believe the fact that I'm living in a country like this where you and I, as an atheist, you're like, maybe God this, I don't know about this. People are dying in Iran. I'm in a refugee camp in Germany for a year and a half. You come to the States, I'm a regular guy going to school. Then all of a sudden I join the Army. I go to the 101st Airborne Division Air Assault. I'm in the Army. I'm in my uniform. Quite honestly, I joined at first for GI Bill, and I'm standing there waiting. We're at a Labor Day, a Memorial Day, and I see one of my chief warrant officers on this side in tears. I see another colonel over here in tears. I see a sergeant first class on this side in tears. I'm like, why are these guys crying? Why are they crying? And then we go into the auditorium. They say, there's a movie coming out about your unit. You guys going to get a chance to watch it before the world sees it. What's the movie? Saving Private Ryan. I watched this movie at the end. I'm like, I am so proud to be an American. I am so proud to be part of the 101st Airborne Division. I am so proud to be living here. So I watched. While I'm in the Army, because of my PT score, I was able to go hang out at this one camp for 2 days where we could play pool, jump in a lake, and all this stuff. This man hands me a Bible. I'm like, sir, I'm the wrong guy to give you a Bible.
Don's, what is a shout out? Oh yeah, shout out Don, $2 super chat. He said, "What's a liberal's favorite drink? Fine wine." I mean, like a lot of them, I know. Shoot, Don's, you gonna have to tell me fine wine. I mean, that does sound like something a liberal would drink. I mean, shoot, my dad's a liberal and he loves wine.
He says, my parents gifted me this Bible December 24th of 1974. I think you need it more than I do. I said, I'm telling you, it's not, you don't want to give it to me. I'm the wrong guy. He gives it to me. I start praying 3 times a day.
Now, I see I have to power down on this point here, right? About freedom of speech. Okay. Now, and I guess, Joe, I'm talking to you when I say this. Bro, look, you have the right to say whatever you want, right? Freedom of, yes, the freedom of speech gives you freedom of prosecution. That means you can threaten me in my own chat and nobody's going to come after you. Nobody's going to knock on your door and arrest you for that. You could talk bad about Trump and all that good stuff and nobody's going to knock on your door and arrest you for that. But guess what? That doesn't mean you are free from a reaction. So you can talk crazy, get booted out. Trust me, G, that's not violating free speech. That means you just don't know how to operate within a certain space.
Long story short, 25 years old, life changes, God's in my life. Everything from there has been revolutionary. It doesn't even make sense to me. It's a miracle. Here's what it made me think about. Here's what it made me think about. How many of you remember the last time you had one of those nights where you pray for an hour and you're on your knees and nobody sees you? Who knows what I'm talking about? Anybody's ever done that before? By the way,
I've been there.
For some of you that are devout Christians, maybe it's a normal Tuesday for you, but for those of you guys that just kind of go to church once in a while, you've only...
And shout out to you guys. We are at 44 super chats until we open up the call-in line and run conspiracy hour. This is going to be a good one, guys. Appreciate the support. Let's keep it going. And go ahead and double tap that screen and like the video. Let's get more people in on the conversation, guys.
Done that 3 or 4 or 5 times in your life. Does anybody relate where you don't do that often? What were you praying about in June of 2024? What were you praying about when you're sitting there? What were we thinking about? What was going on? What were the issues? Everything we're watching, what's going to be taking place? And then you mean to tell me the president is a one look away from this being assassinated, and he lives, and all these miracles happen. President Obama in 8 years flips 1 seat. Trump flips 3 seats in 1 term. You don't think God's hands on America again? By the way, the reason why I'm sharing this with you is sometimes when we start winning and we start making money and we start driving the nice cars and our candidate wins and we're like, yay, it's great and it's awesome, our paranoia goes away. Let me just prepare you for something. We got to stay paranoid. We got to stay optimistic. They're plotting their moves behind closed doors while you and I are here at this event. We got to keep recruiting the next Bobby.
And I feel that message is like, stay optimistic, always be positive, but don't pretend like shit can't happen though. Like, shoot, and that's how I live. It's like, look, I'm a very positive guy. I will not sit here and pretend like bad times going around the corner, like it cannot just happen one day and just boom, things just flip on their head. I've been there before.
Kennedys, the next Tulsi Gabbard.
But if you stay optimistic, you usually get out of those. And if you stay on top of your shit, usually things aren't that bad.
The next Elon Musk, the next Joe Rogans, the next anybody. We got to recruit them over with common sense, with values, with the way we treat them. And if we do that, the future of America will look bright like never before. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, that was a great speech by PBD. All right, man, let's get back to Trump so you can go ahead and, lose your minds again.
Democracy, actually. There's
Shout out to the trolls.
stone cold mean, but